fullest of regards to the fellow members of the Alpha branch of the Utopia. And now, commencing video.
Hello everyone, my name is the one and only Silverreploid CLE. How are you guys doing on YouTube? That's right, the Silverreploid / Ink the Link coming at you live looking fresh in the flesh on the net, stream or non-stream, and welcome back everyone to another video. First things first, hope you guys are having a very blessed and safe Monday this far, and we're literally halfway through the end of the month so far of June, and let's just jump into our first upload right here, which is another reaction to an SCP. I'll get to what I'm reacting to in just a moment, but yeah guys, we're literally halfway there to ending this month. I must say that the Big Run rerun was a huge success recently, even though it was a stressful map to do, needless to say. And yeah, so we're past that phase and everything, and now we're moving on to bigger and better things right there. So anyway guys, with that being said, hope you guys are also taking care of yourselves as well and staying safe from any inclement weather that you guys are currently weathering. And yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with something that I had not reacted to in a long time, which is SCP animations, explanatory animations if you will. And this one I decided to go a little off order because, well, one of my collaborators who introduced me to the very first, the reaction series that I intend to do for this series right here, she introduced to me, well, given that I love coffee, because, well, when I was a kid I used to not like the taste of coffee because of how bitter it was, but growing up now, thanks to Coffee Creamer, it like skyrocketed my love for coffee because of how it tastes and everything. And speaking of coffee, my collaborator introduced me to this interesting episode right here, SCP-294, the coffee machine. Now, I also been requested to check out a different SCP, so that'll be coming up next if I get around to reacting to some more SCP again, even though it has been a long time since reacting to them. So the next one I've been recently requested, well, actually about a week ago or so, I've been requested to check out a different SCP. That'll be coming up next if you're watching this video. So for now guys, given that I love coffee, we're reacting to the coffee machine. So before we get started guys, for those who are new to the channel, thank you all very much as always for tuning in, and of course giving the channel a very excellent glimpse. Your everlasting love and support are greatly appreciated yours truly. Please do not hesitate to like this video if you enjoyed, leave your comments down below, and please don't forget to hit the subscribe button with notifications activated. Also, big shout out to members on behalf of the Utopian branch, aka the membership branch. If you also wish to become a member on behalf of the branch, please refer to the Utopian join button if you will. Review the perks, and when you join, the perks will be given to you by me. Make sure you also subscribe to SCP Explained for more of their explanatory animations. As always everyone, the channel is provided in the description, comments in the outro, and after that I'll react to Dashy's new gameplay of Mario Kart World. That'll be coming up next after this video, and that'll be all for today's reaction. So let's go ahead and check out the coffee machine SCP style. We shall see how it goes. Rolling clip now. Hi everyone, before continuing, it is with great pleasure to let you guys know that I made a cameo. If you'd like to receive a personal video shoutout from me, whether it's your birthday, your wedding day, or if you even like to receive a congratulatory shoutout for your gaming achievement, sporting achievements, social media account milestones, and so much more to help you to also start your cameo journey, please refer to my link located in the video description.
As we all know, the SCP Foundation secures, contains, and protects the various anomalies under its custody. But their mission isn't limited to just grabbing the object and chucking it into a containment locker at the bottom of a classified site deep below the surface of the Earth. The Foundation wants to get a comprehensive, full understanding of all the strange items, creatures, and humanoids in its custody, because that's the only way to understand what they're capable of, what danger they pose, and how to effectively contain them. That much is logical. But the problem is that there's no global scientific community surrounding anomalies, at least not ones willing to cooperate with the Foundation. Perhaps the Chaos Insurgency or Global Occult Coalition have some scientists who have studied anomalies, or the various government agencies that know about the anomalous world, like the Unusual Incidents Unit or Soviet GRUP. But for the most part, the Foundation is utterly alone when it comes to figuring out how these anomalies work, what they are, and how to combat them. So the Foundation does what any institution would do: experiments. Many of the Foundation's most important and iconic anomalies are defined by the experiments the
look at that
white-coated
little file. I was just
scientists
thinking
have
about him a long
performed
time
on
ago.
them, sometimes even using human subjects through the notorious and infamous D-Class program. Everyone knows about how SCP-682, the hard-to-destroy lizard, has been subjected to practically every known weapon and attack under the sun in an attempt to kill the highly dangerous, hateful predator. And who can forget SCP-914, the Clockworks, and the countless objects the Foundation has put through it on its 5 settings to see what it spits out. Needless to say, the Foundation's experiments are incredibly important to how the organization functions. So those SCPs that can offer lots of testing options are very treasured and prized, along with being iconic and legendary throughout the Foundation. Today we're going to be looking at one such anomaly, but not a dangerous, hostile, man-eating predator like SCP-682, or a mysterious eldritch machine like SCP-914. No, today we're going to be looking at something much more simpler than that. A coffee machine. Yes, today we're going to be inspecting SCP-294, affectionately referred to by guards and personnel as the coffee machine. Though you probably don't want to order a hot cup of joe in this coffee machine lest you, well,
that was a quick
not
jug.
get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
The first thing you see when you open the SCP-294 file is its number, of course. Item 294. Object class Euclid. The next thing you see is the image. If you were imagining a tiny little coffee maker before, this should get rid of that. SCP-294 is big, the kind of coffee machine you'd see in a factory break room. It's almost the size of a vending machine, and has a big colored window showing a few cups of coffee, along with the slots for cash and coins so drinkers can pay for their espressos. But the most notable feature on SCP-294 is the full keyboard on the front panel. It's a typical QWERTY keyboard, just like yours, with a spacebar and everything. Why on earth would a coffee machine need a keyboard? The special containment procedures paint an interesting picture, by which we mean there aren't any. SCP-294 doesn't need any special procedures, secret rituals, or complex machines to keep it contained, but it's still Euclid. So only personnel who have security clearance of level 2 or higher are allowed to interact with it at the moment. This is surprising when you realize that SCP-294 is currently being held not in an anomalous item locker or containment cell.
You know, I just wonder who would be strong and swift enough to move that coffee machine from one chamber to the next. That's freaking swift how it transitioned from one test room to the next.
But exactly where you'd expect to find a big coffee machine. A break room. Specifically the Site-19 second floor personnel break room. But it's not alone. It's monitored by 2 guards with level 3 clearance around the clock. For them, sitting in the break room all day guarding a coffee machine that can't move and is too heavy to lift has to be a pretty sweet gig, considering what other kinds of jobs are available at the Foundation. But all that raises even more mysteries. What the heck is up with this coffee machine? The description starts off obvious enough. Affirmed that yes, SCP-294 is indeed a standard coffee vending machine, but with the difference we all noticed earlier. Instead of a simple button list of options, it has a full keyboard on it, each button aligning with the letter on a real keyboard. And when someone slips 50 cents into the coin slot, quite a bargain for coffee if you ask me, the user gets a message on screen prompting them to enter the name of what liquid they'd like. You type it in on the keyboard, and that's
wedding cake, white chocolate mocha, peppermint mocha.
And the nozzle shoots out 12 fluid ounces of whatever you requested. Pretty nifty, isn't it? But it gets niftier. Most people would only think to ask a coffee machine for, well, coffee. But SCP-294 accepts any liquid, and some things that aren't liquids. When the Foundation initially got their hands on it, they ran no less.
Yeah, considering that just got discerned just now, I would rather pass on utilizing the coffee machine. Well, if I have like a coffee machine at home, then yes, I would definitely do it because I have my own coffee that I can use if I wanted to like use roasted coffee, fresh coffee, just to have it brewed in the coffee machine, then go from there. Then yeah, or I just make it regularly like how I would dispense hot water from the water dispenser that we have in the kitchen. In the aftermath of adding coffee, and after that, just add a desired amount of creamer to make it tasty and whatnot. But yeah, just looking at the randomized liquids that dispense from that coffee machine makes you think, yeah, I should pass on the coffee machine that I get locally, right?
less than
Or visit,
97
rather.
tests on it, after they realized they weren't just limited to espressos and cappuccinos. At first, any kind of liquid you could drink was requested. The researchers popped in requests for water, coffee, beer, soda, milkshakes, and
What?
out they came. Then they decided to get a little more creative. They started to
More like
request things
creepy.
you couldn't possibly drink, not if you wanted to stay alive. Sulfuric and hydrochloric acid, like the kind SCP-682 is suspended in. Wiper fluid, motor oil. But
Wiper fluid?
SCP-294 stubbornly
Motor oil?
provided, even if the liquids would melt through the researchers' throats like a knife through butter. Then the researchers
I'm sorry, but what in God's name were these scientists thinking, adding these randomized liquids that contain biohazardous chemicals? Like, are they out of their demented minds right now? Like, why would they even suggest something as hazardous and heinous as this, when you could just simply go with the fundamental and rudimentary ingredients when it comes to making coffee at home?
decided to apply some of their scientific knowledge. There are a lot of chemical compounds that don't usually exist in a liquid state on planet Earth's surface. They typed in nitrogen, iron, and glass,
Your
among
body
others,
is not immune to
and
that stuff.
received shimmering liquids in paper
Yup.
cups. They sent them off to a lab for analysis, and wouldn't you know it, chemically identical to nitrogen, iron, and glass. But when they typed
The
in
two
diamond,
elements of
no
the
doubt
periodic
wondering
table.
whether they'd found an infinite cash cow, they received an error message on the screen. It seemed that while SCP-294 could deliver substances that aren't usually in a liquid state on Earth's surface, it needed to be at least possible for the substance to be in a pure liquid form for SCP-294 to dispense it. Since diamond is only a mineral,
This
it
is
couldn't
just
be
stupid.
dispensed. Then they tried to test something else, and got a slightly disturbing response on the small LCD display. Out of stock. It stopped responding to requests for over an hour, then made a small noise and began to accept requests again. It appears that the machine can take
I
about
wouldn't
50
accept a
requests
request
before needing
at
to
all.
take an hour and a half to restock itself. And while only the machine is anomalous, the small 12-ounce paper cups it dispenses its liquids in seems remarkably hardy. Substances that would have eaten through paper instantly, like the sulfuric acid and hydrochloric acid, had no effect on these little cups, though the same can be said for those that drank from them. One of the researchers had a great idea. Here was an anomaly that was practically harmless, and could be a great little way for the Foundation to scale back its budget a little bit.
Saying that it's
They
harmless is a
proposed
complete
putting
understatement.
SCP-294 into the break room it currently resides in, both to more easily conduct experiments and to save money when agents and doctors came in for lunch and needed a quick drink, or in the mornings where everyone was looking for coffee to wake them up. With no good reason not to, the machine was put in the break room, but not long after, an unfortunate incident occurred. One with enough harm that it was deemed necessary that only personnel with security clearance interact with SCP-294. What could have happened to cause this? Did someone burn themselves on hot coffee? Did the vending machine accidentally crush someone? No. The reality is much darker. One morning in August of 2005, Agent Joseph, whose full name has been redacted to preserve their identity, went up to the vending machine in the break room, looking to get a hot cup of coffee to wake himself up between shifts. Another agent in the room who was on break at the time saw him and made a suggestion to find out what SCP-294 would do when given the colloquial name rather than the exact real name of a drink. They just wanted to see what would happen. So Agent Joseph
very
slipped
daring,
in 2
aren't they?
quarters and typed in a hot cup of Joe. Seconds after, he began sweating like a pig.
Uh-oh.
He was feeling very hot, even though the break room was fully air-conditioned, and his skin began
What
to
is
flush.
going on?
He then clutched his head, complaining that he was dizzy, and the whole room was spinning around before collapsing to the floor. The other agent immediately called the medical staff, who moved Agent Joseph to the infirmary and stabilized him.
Wait, so as soon as he typed in a hot cup of Joe, the machine itself might have telepathically alternated drastically his body temperature. Oh my god, so it's not just any fundamental coffee machine per se, it's more like a death penalty. If you type something negative that causes a lot of heinous issues to your body and everything, then yes, that totally explains.
Once they made sure he wasn't in any real trouble, they also grabbed whatever SCP-294 had spit out. It was a disgusting, thick, reddish-brown liquid with a strong stench. And when they ran the labs on it, they confirmed it was exactly what they thought it was. A mixture of blood, tissue, bone marrow, cerebrospinal fluid, and other bodily fluids that was an exact DNA match for Agent Joseph. SCP-294 somehow managed to literally liquefy 12 ounces from the agent's body.
He was overly
before producing
dehydrated.
them into a cup. This offered a clue. Maybe it stole the liquids it was asked for from the nearest source.
Yep,
In
my
any
point
case,
exactly.
The agent was released after a few weeks of bed rest and care to make sure he wasn't further injured, and both involved agents were reprimanded. With the knowledge of how accidentally dangerous SCP-294 can be, who can blame the Foundation for wanting to keep a careful lid on it?
Why was he even there to
Researchers
start
were
with?
curious, though, and received clearance to test the SCP's abilities to retrieve specific liquids from long distances. With an O5's approval and oversight, they input a cup of SCP-075's secretion. SCP-075, the corrosive snail, is exactly what it sounds like. A gross little creature that secretes a highly caustic acid, capable of melting almost anything. Without fail, the coffee machine dispensed the secretion into the cup, and the cup stayed perfectly intact. But at the very same time, in SCP-075's cell, the creature woke up and began secreting acid that immediately disappeared. All in all, about 12 ounces, the same amount in the cup. Based off of these results, further testing with SCP-294 was approved. One researcher tried punching in a request for a cup of gold. What came out was a small paper cup of molten gold that quickly cooled to room temperature. Asking for cups of silver and platinum produced similar results. But based off of previous tests, it seemed clear that the machine wasn't creating precious metals, so much as siphoning them off from somewhere else. The next request was a strange one. A cup of anti-water. The machine took a moment, then printed a small message on its LCD display.
Out of stock.
Out of range.
Range.
This confirmed that the machine couldn't produce substances that didn't actually exist, and couldn't break physics to get its materials by peering into alternate universes, dimensions, or realities. After that, the researchers tested for diamond, and got the result that you already know of, an out-of-range error. Some more investigation showed that all solid substances that don't have a liquid form get this error.
Yet in the place of that, they decided to put the actual material themselves inside their cup of coffee, despite the machine itself not having it available in stock. The availability was rather minimal, or it just, it just descended.
But asking for a cup of liquid carbon produced exactly that, because liquid carbon isn't the same thing as a diamond, though both are made of carbon. SCP-294 clearly has more knowledge of chemistry than some of us. Then the researchers created an entirely new drink, made of bleach, various sodas, protein powders, and spices. They blended it together and put it in a jar across the room from SCP-294. When requested, the amount of the liquid in the cup was missing from the jar, proving that SCP-294 doesn't actually create its own liquids. But how does SCP-294 react when presented with a more subjective request? One researcher asked for the best drink I've ever had. After a moment, the paper cup filled with something that looked like cola, but the researcher said it tasted like a drink he had years ago at a party, and that he'd always remembered as his favorite drink, though he couldn't say what was in it. But that was a subjective test, and the researchers repeated it with a different subject. When an agent also requested the best drink I've ever had, the machine produced a simple Vienna lager with a label showing a group of people drinking it at the beach and no brand name. The agent confirmed that the best drink he ever had was a Vienna lager at the beach with his friends. So SCP-294 could not only read people's minds, it can read memories they don't even know they still have. Another one they tried was something Cassie will like, referencing SCP-085,
what is it, a mechanical genie?
the young girl who lived in a drawn-on world. The cup dispensed was completely empty, but it had a small drawing printed on the side of a soda glass with brown and white things floating on top of each other. The researchers presented the cup to Cassie, and were told by her it was a chocolate banana milkshake, and a delicious one at that. A cup of music was a strange request, and produced an even stranger result. A clear, odorless carbonated drink that tasted vaguely alcoholic. When drunk, subjects said they could feel it, and started showing an affinity to music, being able to sing and dance to a rhythm when they had no sense of rhythm or were tone deaf before. Whether SCP-294 can produce even more abstract concepts is still under study, but was interrupted by the next test. An unfortunate containment breach incident at Site-19 left several personnel trapped in the break room, heavily injured while MTFs fought to re-establish control over the site. An agent typed in a cup of medical knowledge, and the machine quickly produced a green liquid. After drinking it, the agent was able to treat the injuries of their fellow personnel consistent with standard first responder practices, and was commended for their bravery. But their knowledge didn't stick around after the breach, and attempts to recreate the liquid failed. They decided that SCP-294 broke its own rules for self-preservation in the emergency, implying that it's not only sentient, it is intelligent. A doctor using SCP-294 made a request close to him: my life story. While nowhere close to a drink, SCP-294 seemed to accept the input, until it started shaking violently and making odd noises. It remained in this new state for about 3 minutes, then returned to normal, spitting out a completely opaque black fluid, like tar, in a cup. Despite the strange reaction, the doctor drank the fluid and immediately informed the others he was now able to remember everything that had ever happened to him, from the smallest childhood event to the most important events in his adult life. He excused himself and disappeared into his office. The next time the staff saw him 2 days later, he was carrying an autobiography 600 pages long.
Dang.
Then the researchers decided to try their luck and input "surprise me." The resulting solution was a cup containing what seemed to be regular water, right until a researcher touched it. It was just water, all right, but it had been superheated to 200 degrees Celsius, remaining in liquid form. The moment someone touched it, bang! It violently evaporated into steam, spraying boiling water everywhere. Not only does SCP-294 have intelligence, it has a sense of humor, albeit a quite rude one. The next 3 requests were for blood, namely blood of the Smilodon, or saber-toothed tiger, of the passenger pigeon, and of Founding Father Thomas Jefferson. But the only thing SCP-294 produced were out-of-range errors, confirming it can't take liquids that don't exist anymore. But in the next test, blood was received from wolves, saliva was received from horses, urine was received from koalas, and cerebral spinal fluid was received from Phoebromus pattersoni, a rodent that went extinct some 8 million years ago. Though if SCP-294 is working according to its own rules, it means that there may be still one in the wild somehow. For the next test, the researchers decided to get back to the scientific roots of it all. They made a request for a cup of D-151839's leukemia, knowing that the D-class in question had a very advanced case of cancer. The machine outputted it without any trouble, and analysis of the liquid showed it contained cancer cells that matched the D-class's DNA. But another request for the same spat out an out-of-range error. What's more, a medical checkup on the D-class revealed that their tumor was completely gone. But unfortunately, it was only a short-term fix. The cancer cells recurred within 2 weeks of the
to the
test.
channel.
SCP-294 initially
Well,
just
subscribe,
seemed
thank
like
you.
a boring magic vending machine. But it was only after the extensive experimentation that you just saw a shortened log of that the SCP Foundation was able to discern its true nature. It wasn't an unthinking object. It was sentient, intelligent, and even a little sarcastic, though none of that stopped it from doing its job, providing people with a hot cup of whatever they needed to drink. Just make sure you type in your request very carefully.
Or even better, don't type any strange requests at all. Just stick with the normal way of making coffee, because this right here, this anomaly in the SCP Foundation, and the reality of SCP, it's freaking mind-blowing. Like, I'm not even lying right now, it is totally mind-blowing. So you know what, I'm just gonna stick with what I said earlier. I'm gonna stick with making my coffee fundamentally, because that right there was a massive scare. It was very unsettling, but like, at least from the beginning they did get their fundamental hot cup of coffee. But that right there, to type a description of what you request, even if it's rather awkward or incoherent and whatnot, but Jesus. So that right there was the anomaly SCP-294, the coffee machine. And like I said, I'm just gonna stick with how I make coffee regularly. And if I ever take a notion to get a coffee machine, not in the size of that, hopefully one that doesn't have a keyboard and whatnot, because for it to be integrated with a keyboard to type in strange requests. Now I know these are fictionary. Now I know these are fiction based, but that right there was completely mind blowing in itself, in such a series like that. But anyway, guys, that right there is gonna wrap up my reaction to the explanatory animation SCP-294, the coffee machine. Thank you to the collaborator who requested me from the very beginning to react to the SCP, and of course for the suggestion as well. It was rather crazy to watch, but at the same time though, it was totally worth it because, well, yeah, I wanted to check out some different SCPs. Now guys, I've been requested by a different person to check out a different SCP, and that in itself will be coming up after the next, and that in itself will be reacted to the next time I react to SCP when I get around this. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this one in the meantime, and if you did, please hit the like button, leave your comments down below, and please subscribe for more with the notifications activated. Make sure you also subscribe to SCP Explained for more of their explanatory animations. As always everyone, the channels provided in the description comes in the outro, and guys, my social media, Twitch, and my song lists are provided in the description as well. If you also want to commission a personal video shout out from yours truly, please refer to my Cameo link located in the video description. And if you also want to commission a song made by yours truly that you use for your content, etc., for your projects, etc., please do not hesitate to hit me up via social media. We'll go from there for I do song commissions. This is me, Silverreploid CLE, signing off for now. Before I go, guys, I want to give a special shout out to Spectro the Inkling. His birthday is today, so happy birthday to you, bro, if you're watching. And yeah, with that being said, I love you guys. Stay fresh in the flesh and off the hook, and on behalf of Utopia, I'll catch every single one of you in the next video. And yeah, be safe when it comes to drinking coffee. Don't go for coffee machines that have keyboards and take strange requests. Yeah. If you love music, and if you would like to partake in support of my channel by purchasing music, please refer to my song list down below. Hey guys, Silverreploid CLE here. I want to thank all of you for watching this video. Please smash on the like button, subscribe for more content if you're new, and please turn on the push notifications. And also, please make sure you check out my other videos or any video on display and show tons of love and support for not only me, but to those who are also involved. Have a great one, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!